The poker face. Oh yeah, nice, nice. Okay. Hello, everyone. We're here to present a panel that I'm very happy about. We brought some very important professional people from abroad that they have key, let's say, jobs in the industry. First of all, I want to ask, is there someone here that wants translation? Είναι κάποιος εδώ που χρειάζεται μετάφραση από τα αγγλικά στα ελληνικά? Αντίστροφα, μπορούμε να το κάνουμε τις ερωτήσεις. Για να γλιτώσουμε χρόνο, λέω. Okay, great. So, I want to present my fellow partners here. First of all, this is a panel that I really wanted to make about enlightening all the young filmmakers about film festival strategy, how is a film really selected in the A festivals, and what does it mean to sell a film, to promote a film, distribution. That I think these are the key words. For example, this is 10 years ago when I started. I didn't know anything about the existence of sales agents, even film programmers. I remember, for example, my first film, I just sent a DVD. There were no Vimeo links back then to Venice, and luckily it was accepted. But now, a lot of things have changed, and I think it's really important for all this young generation that now it's starting to learn all these things. And I hope there were more. So it's, I will start by introducing my fellow partners. Or you can say little things about yourselves. Just, I think that will be better. So, Enrico Vanucci.
Hello, thank you for coming. Thank you, Georgos, for the introduction. My name is Enrico Vanucci. I work for Locarno Film Festival, as you can see from this. I'm one of the selection committee members for Parti Domani, which is the section in Locarno for the short films. And before I worked 7 years as the advisor of short films at Venice Film Festival. And then, what else? Oh, I'm the director of a short film market in Torino. And yeah, I also own a small distribution company as well, among other stuff.
Hello, so my name is Ben van Andala from Belgium. So first of all, thank you, Jorgos, for the invitation and to the festival as well. I'm a distributor, sales agent based in Belgium. And yeah, we'll see later what other questions can come.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Judith Weisgrus and I work for the distributor Salomon Risset, which is based in Berlin, and we do only short films, and we do festival sales and award campaigns.
Okay, they're very humble because they're very, very successful. They even have also films in their Oscars. They have in Cannes, Venice, Berlin, Sundance. So these are the key people that you have to meet. So I will start with the basics. Okay, so I really want to know what does a sales agent do, and why do I need one?
So maybe for a start, like there's different kind of distributors. Like there are the sales agents, they do commercial distribution only. There are festival agencies that are basically servicing agencies. So you usually pay a flat fee to get your film submitted to festivals. And there are distributors that are a bit in between that do, so like Salomon Risset, for example, and I think like you, that do sales, festivals, and more.
Yeah, exactly. So for sure, in shorts, your sales will depend on what your festival career or journey is. Not necessarily you need to have like an A-list festival, but obviously it will help the attention to the film, would possibly have a sale or on the other hand, what I'm doing, like Judith was saying, is to try to be involved as early as possible in the project in order to already work parallel when they're doing still the production, even in pre-production. Like to be able to get the project into pitching forums like Euroconnections, European Short Pitch, Midpoint. That's like development programs where they create already or help making the script with tutors, but also to make it already known for example, Enrico, that he already knows, like, okay, in 2 years, there might be coming something that can be interesting for Locarno. And it's more or less like, I call it like planting the seeds as early as possible, so you water it and then you can harvest later on.
That's very interesting. So your strategy is to pick up a project even from the script, right? So you can help it also finance it.
Yeah, for example, the project, the Kosovar project that now was in Cannes Official, we managed to get a pre-sale from Arte and the Finnish television even before the project was made. So they bought it on script, which is very rare in shorts, and also for a hybrid documentary, let's say fictionalized documentary, it was very exceptional.
And let's say I'm a young filmmaker, and I have a project that I think it's really worth for you to watch it. How can I approach you? What do I do?
Just send an email.
Okay, that's it. So you answer all emails. What happens?
Like it's better, I think, to catch the attention. For example, if you have the support of a programmer of a festival already, it always helps, because you told me as well, like, we receive a lot of spontaneous applications, but it's hard to see all films. So if you have support, if you're in a school, for example, chances are that that in the school somebody is responsible for distribution and knows us already. Like Salomon Morisset works a lot with film schools. If you already have a selection, mention it. Ask even the programmer if they have contact with the distributor, because yeah, it's hard otherwise to answer all emails, I would say.
Yeah, exactly, to filter that out, because at some point there is quite an let's say amount of emails coming in, and it's, for example, I'm alone in the company, so I need to prioritize. So it's not that easy to be able to reply, but that doesn't mean that's the first step to already enter, let's say.
Okay. So for every film, do you make a separate strategy? I mean, you have a film and you say this film should go to Cannes or to Locarno. How do you do the strategy for every film that you have?
For me, the strategy always depends on what the goal of the director and the producer behind might be. They could be making a next short or a feature, so it's to create then the momentum to reach the point from getting your first short into a big festival to then open the door for your feature to go into pitching forums, so people will be watching. For example, if you have your project in the European Short Pitch, the people who are working for Torino Film Lab, for example, they're also in the same, let's say, pre-selection group, and they will be watching already, like, okay, there is a new batch of directors coming, okay, so we have to watch out for those. So that means you already opened the door towards the next step. And for example, Thanasis Neofatistos is an example that we, let's say, from one short to the other short to now, that he has green light to shoot his feature. And it all had to do with creating that momentum from Venice to then Toronto with 2 different films. And so, yeah, it's all depending on the film, and it's always different.
Okay. And do you follow directors? I mean, if you have seen their first film and you have supported, do you follow the second one or the third? It depends on the script. And another question like this. If you have seen a documentary, or I mean a fiction film or whatever, in a festival that you really like, do you usually approach the director if he has another short film?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Okay. That's it. So now I'm going to Enrico because I want to ask. Look, Enrico has been he has been the soul of Venice Film Festival for how long? 7 years or 7 years. Now he's in Locarno. He's a very cool guy, and he's really passionate about cinema. I have seen his personal taste, and I really respect and admire it. So I really want to ask you, how do you choose? What are your criterions? I mean, let's make it more specific. Do you choose for the audience, for yourself? What is the balance?
Thank you for the nice words first. Usually say this, but doesn't make much sense, I guess. But I usually rate films by the numbers of shivers they give me. So no, we don't have any kind of sheet where you put votes for DOP or story or whatever. So that doesn't work at all. So it's more a personal taste, of course, but at the same time, it depends very much for the festival you work for, because different festivals have different audiences and they have different aims in terms of what they're gonna do and screen. I've been working for so long now for 80s festivals, so that means that the aim of those festivals mostly is on feature films, but then there is a small or bigger, because for instance Locarno has a big selection for short films, focus on the shorts. So that depends a lot on how big is your program and who is your audience. And also with A-list festivals, you always have to remember that for, as Ben said, with Thanasis, for example, that we give about Thanasis, there's a selection, and in A-list festivals, be it Cannes, Venice, Locarno, Berlin, or Toronto, whatever, it's a game changer for the directors. I guess it was the same for you when you were selected in Venice. So a big spotlight is open on the director. So I think that as a programmer, you feel the the weight of like when you also make the selection. So for instance, this year we didn't pick a director that made a film that we liked very much, but he was in Locarno already for like 3-4 times. Okay. So we said, maybe, I mean, we love the film, but it's not useful for him to be in Locarno again. But luckily, Venice picked the film, so I'm happy for him and also I'm happy for the film because it's a very, very good film. But so when you make selections, it's a lot of stuff that you start thinking, and it's not always like, oh, we pick the best films, because also the best films are the best film for you, but might not be the best film for your colleagues in the selection committee. I mean, Anne was here until this morning, basically, and we worked together. And of course, like we all agree on the films that we picked, but of course, I had favorites, she had favorites, and some of our films that we loved were not picked. Yeah.
So for example, what did it change from Venice to Locarno?
A lot, I would say.
I mean, the criteria that you choose, what's different now?
No, my job is, for some parts it's the same, for others it's very different. The same because I still work and watch the submissions, and I do scouting, also looking for world premiere films, basically. But then it was different because being part of a committee, now I can't really discuss films with my colleagues, and I have a final say. While before being an advisor, I could, of course, make a choice because I was like I was the threshold and the door basically to get in. But then after, I created a long list or short list, call it as you want. I couldn't really have a final say, so I could only try to push for a film and trying to hope that then I was convincing other people. While now, I still have to convince some other people and colleagues, but it's different because everybody is the same, has the same level, and you have the same power, let's say. But at the same time, you understand the dynamic. We are a group, and we think as a group. So it happened, for instance, that a film that convinced me less than others, but I realized that it was important for them and more for my colleagues, and at the same time, it fit the selection. So if you see the selection as a whole of like the 40 films were picked, that film, there is a reason why it's that. Even though for me maybe it's a good film, but not one of my favorite I've ever seen.
Okay. Are there any hot subjects, hot topics that maybe the festival director pushes you to accept or to select, or other things like politics, like let's say women representation, gender, races? How do you consider all this when you make a selection? And for you also, do you see a chance there for a film to get into an A festival? How do you see that? I was wondering, really.
The answer in a way is that film festivals, the themes that are coming on the festivals depend on what is happening in the world. So now we had a few years ago, it was all films about immigrants. Then now it's like transgender, those things, and probably there will be pandemic things, and so it's a little bit following that thing. So, and it not necessarily then something where I would be looking specifically for, because it just passes by, I would say, in that sense.
Yes, same, and like you see topics, burning topics each year that come a lot in short films, and I know that we're aware also selecting films about these questions. Like we wouldn't take a movie just because it's on a certain topic, but it's a plus if it's a burning topic or if it's a female filmmaker. Like that's something we do consider.
All the list of the things that you named are important when you make a selection. Gender is also important, and again, we don't select a film because it's made by a woman or a minority, somebody belonging to a minority. But in the end, just to give you an example, in Locarno we have 3 competitions. So one is international competition, one is Swiss competition, so the national, and the one is Corte d'Autore, which is a new competition that started this year, that's dedicated only to filmmakers that have made a feature film before, while the international and the national are for filmmakers that have never made a feature before. So in a way, it's like young people against old, established, famous directors, let's say. But it's not that, but just to let you know. If you look at the gender, Swiss was 50-50, so it was 5 directors, male directors, and 5 female directors. The international was like 9 female, 11 males, so almost 50. And then if you look at the established filmmakers, it was 2 women and 7 males and 1 couple men-women. So it comes naturally, and we didn't select the films because of the gender, let's say, but we select the film because we like the films and they talk well to each other. But if you look at these, you see how young filmmakers, the short film circuit is well more balanced, and you know, almost naturally you have this kind of balance in gender. For instance, but while if you look at the established system of like the masters or like the famous directors, the difference is huge. Even though I have to say that a woman won the main prize for the Corti d'Autore, so it's good. And then, yeah, I mean, also topic-wise, yeah, there are some topics that repeat itself. Like pandemic this year was was one of the favorite, and yeah, more or less like this.
So the next thing that I would like to ask is, I'm really wondering about your relationship. I mean, festival programmers and sales agents. How much do they annoy you? Do they push their films to you? What's your relationship with them?
Or bribe me? No, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's a joke. No, the relationship is very important because sales agents or distributors usually they know their job, so they know what festivals do like to program and what kind of program festivals do. Because as I said, like every festival is different, and every festival has a different aim. Maybe it's an audience festival, maybe it's an industry festival. So of course, like the example is like you don't send a documentary to an horror festival. It doesn't make sense. But then still, I mean, there are some filmmakers that do it because you never know. Well, no, it doesn't work like that. And working with distributors it's good because they should know. I mean, usually they know what you're looking for, and they just submit the films that they might have chances because they know that if they submit a film that doesn't fit our kind of programming, there are no chances. And of course, it's also a way to save some money in terms of submissions. So it's also good for the filmmaker that doesn't have to spend, I don't know, 80 euros to submit to Venice for not having a chance. So like with Thanasis, it worked like that. I mean, like you contacted me, it's like, I guess you will like this film. I watched it, it was like, yeah, I do.
Yeah, like I see it when we send films to especially the most prestigious festivals, we try not to annoy the programmers, so I see it a bit as already a part of, as if we were pre-programmers, so we select already films for them. And for distributors, festivals, it's like it's a prestigious selection is always the main selling point, because usually for short films, you don't have like for features, like a famous cast of an established director. So a festival, it will be the main selling point after for a film. So
yeah, totally. Because for example, like Enrico was saying, to give an example, the 6 years before Thanasis film, I was also sending every year a few films. They made it into shortlist, but they never were selected. And then in Venice, yes. Okay. So that's, like Judith was saying, a bit like we're the pre-selectors in a way, and also to make it easier for them that, because there is lots of submissions that, like Enrico was saying, they don't read the regulations, so and then it's like a waste of time and a waste of money for them then. But let's say for my part, what I do is before the submissions would open, I already drop an email, or they might know it already when the project was in a pitching thing. And then it's not like lobbying that happens with features. It's basically, this is the film, do you like it? And because of the relationship that was built on years of collaborating, excuse me, then obviously there is that small thing where you don't need to, they know, okay, when he sends the film, probably there is a reason for that.
Yeah, also, I mean, for instance, this year, since also we are four in the committee and each one of us has experience and there are different contacts, but some of those contacts are the same. So we were like discussing among us if a distributor that you usually work with or like we are in contact with had already contacted us or not, or who contacted who, in order not to have like many, discussing the same films with more than one person in the committee, because just one collects the info from the distributor or the sales agent, and then we discuss it in the committee. Because again, it's usually people that we know, we work with, and as I said, it's not bribing. It's just like trusting their taste, and then and because they know what we like, and they might bring us the right films. Then of course, like it's in terms of selection, it's not that a selection is made only by films that are from distributors, but also it are made by a lot of also people that just submit through the open call, and we see them and we like them, and like the winner of the international competition this year, it's a film from Brazil, but it's self-distributed by the director, and now the film is going everywhere because it's a good film in my opinion. So in a way, it's something that you can do it yourself. You don't have to have a distributor, and actually, because also I worked as a distributor for a while as well. I think that if you're really committed in doing it, you can do it alone, because I mean, also you need to trust the distributor. If you are a director, I mean, they know the job and you pay them, so it's trust them and not be annoying in that sense with the distributor. So if you want to have control, do it yourself. Maybe it will take longer to cast less, but it takes longer because you need to study a little bit of what the festival do and what kind of film they like. But then it's free, and or it's less money. It's not free because you spend the fees, but you don't spend the extra that you pay for somebody sending the submission for you. So there are two ways, and it's not that either or the other. It's necessary to get selected. You can get selected in both ways, but yeah, I mean, it's a decision that the director has to make, I guess.
For example, I was wondering what's the percentage of the films that you accept from sales agents and from the films that the filmmakers just sent it by themselves? What could you say?
It's difficult to say. It really depends on the year. And this year in Locarno, we have a lot of films that just came through the open call, especially from some territories like South America. All the submissions came from the open call, and they came very late in the process, like May. And actually, for months, it was like crazy because we were not satisfied with any South American film, and then in the end, we had 3, 4. Which is a good number, and one won. So yeah, no, actually 2 won because they won both, also the 2 competitions. So it might be 50%, or it might be 40, 70, or even like, I'm thinking now a little bit about Venice in the past, and also it might be 90%. It really depends in a way of distributors, but sometimes, I mean, like yeah, with Venice it was like a little bit like that, but sometimes also it happens that if a director submits to a festival alone and gets selected, then when they have a selection, as Judith said before, they might contact the distributors. Yes. So then a distributor start to be attached to the film, after they secured selection in an A-list festival or in another important short film festival like Clermont or Tampere or whatever. So, so then it becomes kind of difficult to say how many are that are followed or not by a distributor. Yeah.
Okay, so here they are. Questions. Come on, I'm sure you're ahead. Don't be shy.
We don't bite.
Yes. You can ask their emails, of course, but yes, please. Just a minute. Do you have a mic? Let's start.
Hi, everybody. My name is Vitória. I'm a filmmaker from Brazil. I actually know the movie that you're talking about. And I'm wondering, what do you guys consider the best way to get a sales agent? Is it through a festival or unsolicited emailing? Is there a preferred method?
Yeah, it works. Yes, so no, it's fine. But from our lineup, like about 50% come from our network, so producers that we know or directors that we've already been in touch with. But the other half is really from festivals. Like we watch the lineup of a lot of festivals that we know we like, which taste is similar with ours, and yeah, then I send emails basically to the director or to the film team to ask for a screener, basically. So yeah, the best way for us at least is to get a nice festival.
Yeah, I have nothing to add. I'm totally the same.
Yeah.
It's because of the network that has already been, let's say, for years, for example, now with Thanasis, it's something where you know to collaborate. For me, it's important to start a collaboration and not like to see the film as one individual thing, but to see what the goal is, to be part of that and to, yeah, move forward in that sense.
In the beginning, you said just emails, eh? You remember, eh?
Yes, but there is many ways.
Yeah. Okay, another one.
I have a question myself. Actually, I have a question myself. Now, because it's important, I guess, to know. How many films do you pick per year? Because, I mean, I guess you're, Ben, you're alone, but in Solo Morissette, you're 3 people?
Now we are 6 in distribution plus
well.
1 producer.
So
Like
even more. But you can take just an amount of films, I guess. So, and I think also it's important for filmmakers to know that.
Yeah, totally. Because in a way, it's very difficult to predict whether a film will go or not go into a festival. For example, for me this year, in less than 3 days, I had one film that was possibly going to Cannes, and in 72 hours, I had a film in every section, which made it great. But at the same time, I was like, okay, how am I going to manage this? Because it was 3 films that are new, while there was already 5 doing the tour. So, and you cannot really predict. It's very nice when you receive emails that you're selected, but then you're like, again extra work. You know. But yeah, so it's, let's say on an average, I would say 10 films per year, but it's not clear what a year is, because your film could start in Venice, which means it's September, or it could start in Berlin in February, or Clermont, or Sundance, whatever. So the year is not like the real year, it's shifts. Because you have several submission blocks for the block of Venice, the block of Cannes, the block of Berlin, Clermont, Tribeca, Saba Southwest, Sundance. So that defines the rest of your career with the film. Because in many A-list or big festivals, the limitation is 12 months production date. So that's why you need to be vigilant into, when you have one selection, not to miss the ones that are straight after. That's sometimes, and that's why it comes in handy when you know the programmers, that when you have a selection, you can already notify the other programmers, like, look, this was here, what do you think? can I already submit or something like this? So already to, again, like I was saying, those seeds to water them more. So yeah, I think we.
But I think we work a slightly bit differently because we only commit on completed films. Like we don't commit on scripts. So usually we start the distribution straight away, and for us we take about 7-8 films a year. Yeah, so it's not a lot, but we do watch a lot of movies, and we're always happy to see a lot. So yeah.
So you just said that you are choosing films that are after their development, so basically completed films. Why would you do that? Why do you prefer to get a finalized project? And you also said that you're watching the festival selections and then you are reaching out to filmmakers from the festival. So it's different than how Radiator works, and I'd like to know why.
Yeah, so, sorry, what was your first question? Oh,
Why do you choose films?
It's a bit. It's because we have such a small lineup, and we're 7 people. So we want to be sure that the film we would like it, that it has potential, and we have this luxury which feature film distributors don't have. For example, is that in short films there's less competition with other distributors, so we can wait for the film to be completed. If it's a rough cut, it's fine as well, but we want to see images basically.
Yeah, for me it's different because I'm already preparing the whole strategy when they're working on the script, because then you already are, I would say, one step ahead of, let's say, my colleagues, and which are colleagues in our circle, not like in features where they're really competitors.
Okay, so this is a question for the sales reps. Do you consider documentaries?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. For me, it doesn't really matter whether it would be fiction, animation, documentary, hybrid. I'm up to anything. If it's something I like, it's fine.
Thank you.
And yeah, sorry. No, we rarely represent documentaries. It happens, but we focus on live action and narrative films. So we don't take either animation.
May I? Hi. Let me ask you, like, while in drama, do you watch only the international competition, or do you also watch the national competition films?
We both watched one Greek competition. Yeah.
Student competition even.
Also, yeah.
Yeah, it depends. Like for me, for example, I have 3 films in the national competition, which are also 2 of them in international, and 1 in the student competition. And actually, since 2 days ago, with the help of Thanasis, I will be giving a distribution award for the national Greek students for this year, and then probably next year will be something similar, because there is always some hidden gems that get lost because when you don't really know, there is about 15,000 film festivals on the planet, and that's pretty difficult to where to start. And obviously you have the academy lists and those lists, but if you want to submit to all academy festivals, you have to make sure to have 2,000 euros only to pay the entry fees. So that's already a big chunk, but depending on where you start, those 2,000 can become much less, because when you have an A-list festival that selects it, the other festivals in not lower but down the pyramid of all the festivals will contact you, and then you can get waivers or reductions.
Right, but more specifically about Greece, since we are in Greece, and Greece is like a particularly small market and small country, and the language is pretty much limiting. Like if you receive, I don't know, let's say 10 films from Greece, and you equally like all of them for different reasons, like what would be the criteria or your limit, like the limit of films from Greece that you would go ahead and work with?
That's a bit difficult because, for example, like when I was saying that collaborations for me is important and I want to be part of those collaborations. So if there is new films coming from the people that I would used to work with already, then they will have obviously priority. But then
yes,
when
but let's say that this condition does not exist in the equation and you have like a clean slate, you receive requests from 10 Greek filmmakers and you have to choose among them, but since they're all Greek, what would be the limit usually? Like, would you take 2 films that you really like or 5?
that will depend because, for example, if it would be all animations or all documentaries or fiction, would be the goal not to have 2 similar films. For example, now I'm representing 3 Kosovar films which are totally different, but it's a risk when submitting them to a festival that they only have a slot for, let's say, 1 Kosovar film. So it's then my thing, and similar with Greeks, or it's just a general example, yeah, that they don't interfere because I want to give the same service to all 3, 5, it could be 5, when they're totally different. So it depends on the situation, and not that they clash with each other.
Right, okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Hi, this is again a question for you. You say you come in the script when that phase of the movie. I wonder what that workflow looks like when you come in so you look at scripts, right? And then, so I wonder what that workflow looks like and what kind of decisions you make in terms of how you package things, and do you consider which festivals they would go to, or just could you describe that a bit?
Yeah, that's a lot of questions in one. No, it's fine. Yeah, it obviously depends, like I was saying before, what the goal of the director is. So that already on script stage you can then see, okay, the goal is that maybe this is a short that will become a feature, or it's making a scene out of the feature to make a test. So then that already is a bit defined, but it's more also in that sense of to already start to prepare all social media things, meaning that have an Instagram account for the film, have a Facebook page, maybe have a Twitter account, have all these things already prepared, so when you're doing the preparation or the pre-production or the shooting, that you already can build an audience aside from festival-wise that already are following, because at the end of your festival run, you need to get it out to an audience. So you can create your audience there already. So I don't know if I answered the question then.
Yes, sort of, but I wonder, so do you actually impact the direction the script is taking, or do you just take that? No, so you don't offer like creative kind of feedback in terms of what the film actually looks like?
Maybe yes, but it depends on the script, because actually as a formation, I'm an editor, so I first was an editor that then started to produce and then doing distribution I wanted to know all these steps and to go back. So in that sense, I put on different caps. I can say, okay, I put my editor's cap, which is easier to talk to the production then or the director instead of the sales agent cap, because they was like, oh no, you're talking as sales. No, I'm talking practically as an editor to tell the story.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Hello. About festival selection. I have 2 questions. How important is the Facebook, Twitter, social media society while applying to a festival? Is the first question. And the other one is, while applying to festivals, I came across many festivals who were asking about not only gender of director, but also sexual orientation and all those stuff. So I'm also wondering how much impact does this have?
None.
So why?
Yeah. No, okay. First question. The social media doesn't have an impact, or as Ben said, maybe has an impact on another audience, not on programming. But it might have an impact in terms of the premiere status of the film. I explain. To get into Locarno until this year, you could get in only with a world premiere or an international premiere. And sometimes we realized that some films that we liked, then they were not eligible anymore because they were screened somewhere. And so we found it out through social media. So in that sense, it's important for us to find out that some films are illegally submitted, or not illegally submitted, but maybe when we were submitted, they were okay with requirements, but they didn't inform us about the selection, and so then we can't select it anymore. This comes to say that if there is a selection for a festival, for another festival, and you would like to have an early reply from A-list festival that have this kind of requirement, you can always ask for, since you paid the fee, you can always ask for that. I must say that, especially towards the end of the selection, asking that if you submit like 2 days before, it's not the best way to make us happy, but you can do it. No, but to be fair, I mean, like, yeah, if you're being selected to a festival and want an early assessment, please do it. It's better than find out that a film that you like has been screened and you cannot screen it. I mean, that really makes us angry. The second question, or regarding the gender, okay. No, the Americans usually do this in order to, they say, not, like a survey, to know how many films you receive from women, from black people, from, I don't know, Asian people, or, Europeans, or American Indians, and so on. Also about sexuality, same stuff. I don't know if Locarno does it, because I've never seen the thing. It might be. But that's true that these questions are requested because of survey. Because I mean, Locarno, for instance, assigned the 2020, so it means that we are obliged in a way, or we said that we would pick at least the percentage of women filmmakers that we receive through the open call. So this year we received, I guess, 35, 37 submissions from women. So we had in the festival at least 35, 37% of women directors presented in the selection. So that question is important for us to know and to respect that commitment. The festivals usually say that they don't consider other aspects, and even the gender aspect in a way. But for some, I don't believe. I mean, I cannot say for sure, but for some, I don't believe, especially the Americans. Because if you look at the American programming, not always like that, but it's always more, I mean, to me at least, it's my own point of view. I think that reflects more a selection made with a kind of mathematical, tick boxes or mathematical equation. I mean, personally don't like it because I know some of the films and personally don't like those kind of films. So, but yeah. But again, it's my own opinion, so it doesn't share.
I have one more question.
Can I
if
ask
it's okay.
something? There is this saying that, for young filmmakers especially, that if you send your film late, really close to the deadline, then you have fewer chances to be accepted. Is this true, or this is a festival myth?
Oh, fewer, because I mean, I knew the other way around actually, that you had more chances to get in. No, it's better to send the film when the film is ready, or even if it's a rough cut. But the rough cut has a feeling of the final film. Because also another thing that we don't like to do is to watch the same film twice. Again, if you submit the film is almost ready, and you get the feeling. It doesn't make sense that we watch it again because you change music. I mean, it works, or it doesn't. So it's better to submit the film once it's ready, or you feel fine with that. And then, of course, if it's ready for the submission deadline, you have to submit at that moment. But the film was ready 3 months before, 4 months before, submit at that time. Also, because it happens a lot of time that films they're almost the same. This is true. I mean, I remember watching films that were like identical in terms of theme, in terms of what happens in the story, and then we were made like one in the States and one, I don't know, it was Russia or whatever. And there is no chance that they know each other or the directors know each other. So, but stylistically we were different and so on, but same film. So it happens sometimes that you have all the same topics, and if you like, if there are two films that are kind of equal in terms of quality, you like them both. At least to me, the first one always stick in my mind, so the second one has to be better than the first one. Because the second one comes a little bit disadvantage in a way, if they are equal. Because you have always the first film in mind. Then of course it's better, it's another thing. But so it doesn't make. I mean, send the film when the film is ready, or when you think the film is ready.
One more question. Do you read the cover letters?
Only when I don't get the film. So it's so it means that it's a bad thing. No, I don't. I don't even try to read the synopsis before, because I don't want. I mean, it's the film that must to speak for itself. So I think cover letters of synopsis are interesting afterwards if you like the film, and to see if you got it right, or you think it as the same as the director, or the opposite, just to get what was this film about. I didn't understand it.
Hi guys, thank you for an excellent panel. I just wanted to ask, what happens after the Festival for Short Films? What advice can you give in terms of platforms and that kind of thing? So maybe the distribution ban, or...
And I also want to ask, what does the filmmaker win from all of this? I mean, in the end, after the sales, what does he get? Except for having a great premiere and the reputation. I mean, in terms of the producer gets all the money, the filmmaker, what happens?
That all depends on how the configuration is with producer, director, or co-producers. And for me, I always have like one contract with the main producer, and then down the line, they then manage their percentages. To come back to your question, what happens really later regarding platforms, again, that's a bit defined whether the film would be sold to TV or not. And then now, because of the pandemic, there is lots of new platforms that popped up in these last 18 months, which became more specialized, meaning people got away from Netflix because Netflix algorithm pushes you always in one direction and doesn't allow you in a way to explore or get acquainted with new things. So that's why now there is, like, let's say, a new gray zone that starts to appear, meaning you have streaming platforms, streaming guide platforms, meaning, for example, one of them is called Just Watch, and which is territory-based, location-based, meaning if you're, for example, here in Greece and you put in your profile, you would get specific recommendations for the films that you might like, and then you can see, okay, this one you can watch it for free on with AVOD on Tubi or on YouTube. You can, in full HD quality, you can watch it on another platform in 4K, but it will cost you €5. So there already there is the gray zone between the films and the different platforms, but they cut in between to say, okay, we propose you different possibilities where you can watch. And obviously that depends on where you can put your film on. So it's defined by the start of your career as well a bit.
Yeah. So I think after the festival run, like there's the commercial distribution of the film can last several years. Like there are several buyers that, most buyers, I must say, want films that are 1 or 2 years old max, but there are others smaller that do take films that are 5, 6 years old. Like we take rights for 6 years usually, and each year we may, even at the end, we make small sales usually. And yeah, and to answer your question, I think it's mostly in terms of career. Like if you see the Cannes selection this year, we had 2 filmmakers that we worked for their shorts in the last years that had feature films, and I think there's a connection somewhere.
I have the question. I was wondering what kind of path you're following to be a distributor, because you said that you were an editor before.
What do you mean, the path, why I chose to do distribution?
I was wondering more like education or your experience before you become a distributor.
I learned it while doing, because the first film that I produced, then I was still working full-time as an editor in a commercial production company. And at the point when I started to be in contact with the distributor for the first film, after a year I was not really pleased by the result. But I was traveling as well and meeting the same people, so at some point I said, okay, I have a few films, so why not start myself? Because why would I have an intermediate when I know the people myself? So why would I give 20 or 30% to somebody else? And then gradually it took some time that people started to know me, aside from producer, to be sales and distributor, and then you need to build up, I needed to build up the reputation. So, because you need to gain the trust of the buyers, which takes quite some time, that they trust you, and that doesn't necessarily mean that they will buy the films then. But the reason also why is that I get easily bored, and that's why I wanted to do something else, and I'm pretty sure that this will not be the end stage. And it's just very intriguing to follow that journey, and it's much easier to working as a distributor. It's much more easy because, for example, the last project that I produced was The Nipple Whisperer, it's called, and it took 5 years to produce it. And for example, Brutalia, Days of Labor from Manolis Mavris, from the email that I received until the signing of the contract, it was less than 2 hours. And it is going very well. So that's the difference of why I'm more into distribution now. I don't know if I answered the question.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I hope you're not bored in the future and keep promoting us. I hope you were also not bored, and it was an enlightening discussion about how the industry works. We have time for one more question, and this is the final one.
There is no question, there is congrats and thank to join the educational program that begins from pitching and ends to the big screen, I hope, not on the platforms and on screens on our computer or our small devices here. And I want to thank you, and I want to continue with you. If someone of you will be tomorrow in the pitching forum or in Zoom or in the benefits of technology. So thank you very much for coming. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Yorgos, introduced us as such special persons. And many, many thanks to have you together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, but yeah, very nice.
I wonder, it's to the distributors, I wonder, are short films profitable?
Actually, to be honest, I'm actually living on welfare in Belgium, and I'm doing this. It's serious. It all depends, and the reason why I continue it's more like passionate to do it, and only because of having a very technical background and now doing like in volume, then it starts to become a little bit profitable. But it's mainly just out of passion and really liking it that I continue doing it. So sometimes, like this year, it's a good year, but when because I need to invest constantly, so there can come money in, but then it immediately goes to hard drives or whatever to be able to do the work.
Yeah, they can. I think you won't be rich from a short film, but they can be profitable, and that's also the interest of a distributor, basically, because alone as a producer, I think like you don't necessarily have the strike force to actually make money to add up sales. And also as distributors, like we films push each other. So if we have a more profitable film, we can invest in another short films, like basically that is maybe less commercial, but so it can still have a good career.